What's up, pod pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are listening to Podcasting Business School. It's the show where I teach podcasters how to love their podcast like a hobby and build it like a business. This is a podcast audit episode. I've got my pod pal Justin in from the Dollars and Dumbbells podcast. Justin, how's it going, man?
Adam, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's hit the ground running here, man. Let's start a little goal jam session first. 6 months from now, things are really cooking. Like you got positive momentum with your business, with your brand, with your show. Let's paint that picture a little bit. What might that look like 6 months from tonight, from right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Ultimate goal is to grow the business. So, I'll look at that. I would like to have the business doing over 10K a month. I think it's pretty doable. I do have a 12-month-old at home, 13 months now at home. So she takes up a lot of time, but kind of got used to that transition now. So I'm ready to get back up and running. I've kind of last year has been kind of maintenance mode. And so that's ideally where I'd like to get the business over the next like 6 to 12 months.
Great. And just so our audience is on the same page, describe who your ideal client is. I think it's a pretty unique, like what you're offering out there. I think it's really, really smart. So describe that a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm a financial planner, a certified financial planner. I help online health and fitness coaches and other online business owners with their personal and business finances. So it might be a little different than your normal guess.
Yeah.
Which I loved your tax episode, by the way.
Yes. I like putting it out there and just kind of, saying this is what I do. And if anybody gets an idea, just a few ideas that I wish I had learned a little bit earlier, So,
yeah, it was good stuff.
Thank you. All right. So I think what you've got is unique. I think there's a lot of opportunity when we talk client acquisition. Obviously, we all want growth, but with you, I'm thinking we need to grow with that right type of listener.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to move from entertainment to real, not just education, but expertly positioned education. And I think that's going to move the needle with both the downloads, but more importantly, the dollars. That's in the name. We got to get some dollars going over here to hit those 10K months. So let's talk organic discoverability first. Dollars and Dumbbells podcast. Is that the entire name of the show? Is there any title extension or anything like that?
I believe there's an extension because I believe I added it after listening it to your podcast.
That's what I always check.
Yeah, let me just double check and see. Yeah, so now it's it used to be, so I rebranded. It was Dollars and Dumbbells to start, and then it was Intentional Profits, and then like kind of tanked the show by doing that. And so I bounced back to Dollars and Dumbbells, kind of realigned, and now it's Dollars and Dumbbells, money tips and business advice for online health and fitness coaches.
Yes, well done. Those are great. That's
well done.
Great. Yes, those are great. So keywords, I know exactly what it's about, who it's for. That's excellent. So I always like to check that box first when we look at podcast audit. So I feel comfortable with that. Make sure you're using a lot of those terms in your host description and also in your episodes as well. Like that's, all that organic discoverability stuff. We want those nets out there at all times. Now, when we talk about converting over new listeners or current listeners into becoming clients, expert positioning is important. You mentioned to me before we started that you're doing primarily interviews, and your audience seems to love the interviews, which is 100% okay. And maybe so when you did the momentary rebrand, were you doing more solo episodes, or were people complaining about not as many interviews? What was the situation there?
Yeah, so they were solo, but I actually co-hosted with another advisor. We were considering merging at the time, and we just ended up not. So we kind of the reason we stopped doing it, but also like the listens just kind of fell off. And then when I announced my rebrand, or I guess my branding back to Dollars and Dumbbells, I had a lot of coaches message me on Instagram and were like, "Yeah, I stopped listening when you changed." I was like, "Oh, thanks for letting me know now." Appreciate that.
Okay. Well, I think that with you, like being in that financial planning space for online coaches, health and wellness coaches, things like that, I think the coaching style episode could be just killer content for you because it's still kind of interview-ish. I feel like it's just a nice little baby step towards solo, but it's expert position. Like you're the expert of that type of an episode. And like these health and wellness coaches, I know they're super eager to participate in stuff like that. Like they love stuff like that. Like that was the world I lived in for a long time. And so imagine having those listeners that, I mean, I would hit up the people that said they quit listening to your show and be like, listen, I want you to come on my show for a fitness business audit or fitness business financial audit or whatever, and have them on the show to do what we're doing today, and have a few little categories that you focus in on, that kind of high level stuff, but just showing off what it is that you do and give them some advice like, oh, you're leaking profits here, or man, if you did this and switch it over to this, you're going to get a lot better, more tax advantage, or whatever, more profitable, save on these expenses. You need to switch to this. Like, I think there's a lot of opportunity to show off the value you provide as a CFP, in a big way. So any thoughts on that whole concept?
No, I think it's a great idea, and it's something that's intrigued me when I hear you talk about it. There are some compliance hurdles on my end. Some of it probably legit, some of it probably just a little bit of fear, that I just kind of worry about a little bit on the coaching, because I'm in a highly regulated industry as a financial
Yeah.
advisor. And, just recently, the SEC started allowing testimonials. And on a state level, if you're not SEC registered, blah, 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 on the state level, I just recently am allowed to do that. But there's a lot of like red tape you have to provide to do that. And so it just becomes like the coaching calls. I just kind of have to be careful. Like, am I going into the testimonial category, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I just kind of have to be careful a little bit. So that's something I've always been a little hesitant on doing the coaching style episodes.
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys hear my weather behind me right now, it is like epic storm.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, if I jump and hide underneath my desk for a minute, it's coming down. But no, I think that is important. Like the whole regulatory red tape stuff. Like, what would, as far as, it would be somebody that isn't a current client that would keep
I
us
think
out of,
that's helpful.
yeah, that
I
would
think
keep us
that's
out of
actually really helpful.
testimonial zone.
Yeah.
It's a podcast listener. Like, what level or what area can we operate in that would be helpful to them? It would show off what you do, and it would follow all the rules easily, no problems, no question to ask. Like, what could you easily talk about on a podcast like that? That's not necessarily direct financial advice, I guess. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I think you actually said it. Sticking to business finances would probably be the play. One, because you can kind of do that easier on a call without all the information as well. But then you're avoiding investments and insurance and stuff like that, where it might start to kind of fall into like I'm giving advice. So I think that would probably be the play, is just sticking to like the business finances.
Yeah. And where are they leaking profits? Where could they, reduce expenses, stuff like that. Does that make sense? Is that what you're talking about there? Just to be super clear.
Yeah, profit, cash flow. If they're struggling with debt in the business, that could be, because a lot of online coaches, they go into debt from business coaching. So those could be the play. And then I think as long as, I just have a disclaimer. This is, all about the disclaimer on your tax post.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as I have a disclaimer, kind of like, this isn't advice. I don't have your full financial picture. These are some rules of thumbs, etc. I think I could probably get around that. So I think some of it's just a little bit of my own head trash and kind of an excuse. So I think there's ways around it.
I really like the term cash flow audit, like your online business cash flow audit. That's, as an online business person, that's immediately attractive to me. I'm like, okay, like, he's going to do this. He's going to do this for free. He's going to kind of point me in a direction that I can choose to follow. But I think you coming on and being like, listen, I'm inviting a listener on that is a non-client, and we're using this as an example to create content for you so that you can get some ideas that you can choose to implement or not implement. Like, that's how I would lay it out there. Like, that's my version of a disclaimer, I guess. But like, that's how we position it, as like, we're just spitballing some ideas back and forth, but it's with the purpose of creating content that you can use that as an example, and choose to apply in your own business if you see fit. But yeah, like the word cash flow is so huge in the online business space. That's an attractive word. Profits is another one. Like, I did an Instagram show where I invited listeners on. I would just live stream with them, and it was podcast Profit Potential Instagram Live. And I just would go, hey, this is where I see you kind of missing out an opportunity to profit from your business here with your podcasting brand, and kind of go at it with that. But yes, an opportunity to make money and an opportunity to save money. Not talking about investments and stuff like that. And I even like that even more, because that's really your secret sauce and your bread and butter that people should be paying you for anyway. So this type of an episode positions you as an expert. That person that's in that guest seat, you know, they may go, wow, I really vibe with Justin. I trust him after what he gave me some great advice. I saved some money, I made some money, or whatever. I'm looking for a CFP. This is my guy. Like, this is like you, why wouldn't you be their guy? So I I like that concept a lot, just from the expert positioning. It's not so far away from an interview. It's still a two-person thing. They're getting advice. And instead of getting advice from your guests, they're getting advice from you, which is going to help with everything that you do. So yeah. Any questions on pulling off that concept?
No, I don't think so. You mentioned the secret sauce there, and I think, to highlight the good point is like a lot of CFPs don't work with business owners. They don't work with like the intersection between personal and business finances. So being able to do like a cash flow audit or a profit audit, but also tie it back into a personal vision, goals, etc., without going into all of the, investments, etc., I think could be a really good like move for me. Just, one, building rapport with whoever's on the call with me, but also the listeners. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a really good idea.
I mean, you give me so many ideas, because I lived the online fitness person, you know, lifestyle for a lot of years. And I think, like, there's a lot of value. I'm already imagining, like, just visual stuff on this, where like you're actually asking people, the important question in the health space, like, what's your ideal lifestyle looking like? What are your lifestyle goals? I mean, are you, like, with me, when I owned my gym, it was like 1,000,000 hours a week, and I worked myself into the hospital 3 times because I was having anxiety attacks and passing out from lack of sleep and all that stuff. So all the money in the world wasn't worth it. So, like, how do we, create a business model that, our lifestyle is a part of our compensation? That's how I view my business now. So I love that, man. Like, I think this is going to be great content, very entertaining for your audience, and I'll kind of, kind of head this off at the pass right now, because a natural mental conversation you'll have with yourself after you do a few of these, you'll feel like you're talking about the same thing a lot. And you kind of will be, like, with
Mhm.
podcast audits, I'm always talking about the same thing, but it's applied differently because everybody's situation is different. Your situation, when we talk about coaching style episodes, is different than the last person that was on 30 minutes ago when we talked about it. So it's new to your version of that topic. So, like, you'll hone in on a few topics that are like, all right, we always talk about, like, profits, we always talk about debt reduction, we talk about expenses, we talk about lifestyle stuff, but the people should keep coming back for that. Like, that's your ideal listener slash client avatar anyway. So yes, what I would
That's
do.
helpful because I
Yeah.
tend to fall victim to feeling like I need something new all
Yeah.
the time. And a real quick thought came up on that. It's like I need to figure out, like, so when you do this audit episode, like, you can go look up my podcast, right? So there's so much info there. You could listen to a couple episodes. I don't know if you actually like have the time to do that or not, but like you can get some background info. So for me, it would be like, how can I do this without asking, like, while asking for as little as possible, right? So like, Adam, you're coming on. I don't want to be like, I need your P&L, I need your banks. Like, you know what? Like, that's a hurdle that I think I would need to try and minimize. So like, be able to do it with as little information as possible, which kind of goes against like everything I do and like
Yeah.
as an advisor. I collect so much information up front. And then the other thing is I do wonder if there'll be a hesitancy for people to come on and talk about their finances, because it's such like a sorry
Yeah.
it's such a vulnerable topic, and a lot of people have, shame, guilt, anxiety around money. um so I do wonder if that'll be a hurdle to get people to come on.
I mean, it will be, but
Yeah.
if you position it correctly and you position it as a safe environment, and there's different ways you can do that, then it'll be cool. Like, and it'll help a ton as you do these, as you put these episodes out, people listen to them, they have the social proof. And during the episode, you go, hey, if you want to do these, go to the website and sign up. Here's how you do it. Links in the show notes. Like, as that happens, it gets exponentially easier because people are like, oh, that's what it is. And I saw that he didn't like put all their personal, he didn't put their tax ID number out there for all to see or anything like that. But I think you could say things like, hey, this can be audio only. We can do first name only. We can make up a business name. We can even make up the industry that you're in, or like we can change as much of that as you want. Or we can just talk numbers without talking industry. Like we can like make them comfortable with whatever, because really you just want to show off. And that's like, I love the idea of minimal info collection. Like I collect a decent amount of information for these. But what I really love, like I just kind of glance at it. I go, okay, I kind of feel where we want to go here. And then I let you steer the ship. And that's why I asked that 6-month question. Use it. That's a great type of question for this. And it doesn't, maybe it's not 6 months, maybe it's 5 years, maybe, you know, whatever time length makes sense for you. But I go, hey, you and I have a conversation 6 months from today. Things have been fixed. Things are going in the great direction, you know, with your finances, with your business. What does that look like for you? And have them paint the picture. And then my next question is, what's the roadblock that's keeping us from getting there right now? And that's what we talk about. And so it's like allowing them to set the goal. Then they define the roadblock, and your only job during that audit is to just knock over one domino in the direction of solving that roadblock. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's a good framework.
So if they're like, I would love to be working only 40 hours a week, and I would love not have to work on the weekends, and I would like 10K coming in profits every month. What's the biggest roadblock right now? I've got 30 employees and all my profit is going into paying them. Okay, let's talk. You know, let's dive in, because I'm sure you're like, you just start getting ideas because that's what you do. You're like, all right, what if we, you know, switch to online VAs instead of in-house people, or what if we change pay structure, and now that stuff is just like, that's normal strategy stuff that people are going to be like, you know, like when somebody like you comes on my show, you have the questions and ideas and thoughts that represent all my ideal listeners. So same thing's going to happen with you in these situations. And every time somebody brings up a unique circumstance, you're going to have a dozen other listeners going, I think that same thing too. Like if I could only figure that thing out, and then Justin solves it, boom. Now expert positioning just went up. That makes sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, I would hunker down on that idea. Even if you want to start dripping some solo stuff back in there, okay. But I would lean. Are you doing one episode a week? Are you at that cadence right now, or where are we at?
Yeah, 1 week.
Okay. And maybe you go 1 week coaching style episode, next week interview, and just kind of massage that into the mix a little bit. So you're still half and half. I think with that coaching style episode, you're gonna have such great expert positioning. Your audience will love it. You know, it's still, even though I just freaking preach about these episodes, this style of episode, still very few people are doing them. So you're going to stand out in that way, especially in your niche. I'm like, nobody's doing this from a financial planner space. Nobody's doing this. Right. Just because there's a little bit of effort. You have to navigate the red tape, like you said. But I think, and honestly, a lot of these people are just freaking boring, you know, like they can't pull it off because they don't have the personality to do it, or they don't like thinking on their feet. People like you and me, that's our jam. That's how we stand out. Like, give me a freaking problem, I'll solve it. It's like vanilla ice, you know. If you got a problem, yo, me and Justin will solve it. That's what we got, people. So, yeah. So I think this is something to lean heavy into.
Yeah, I think so too. I do think the solo episodes tend to lean towards boring. Like I'm not afraid to admit that, you know, finances aren't the most, you know, sexy topic for most people. Like it doesn't, it'll draw in a certain type of person, but most people, they would rather run away. So making it fun a little bit and bringing on the coaching style episodes, I do think would be really helpful. Do you have any tips for, like, I know now you just probably get bombarded with people, you know, wanting to come and do the podcast audits, but early on, like, do you have any tips for getting coaches? So, you know, my main platform is Instagram. So I would obviously, you know, put it out there and try and get people on, but didn't know if you had any other tips for, you know, getting coaches to come on.
Yes. At first, it will be an effort, and it'll be a little bit of the pain in the butt, and you're going to have some no-shows, which will really upset you. because that's the worst, especially if you're doing like live streaming. Like you've been through my whole process. Like I do the double reminder email and all that stuff. I'm like, are you still coming? Yes or no? And I make people verify twice because I've been through all that. But at first, it's a little bit of a heavier lift and it can feel like, man, this is a lot of work. But then the flywheel starts to turn. Once you get, I found like 25 to 50 of these types of episodes out in your RSS feed, the magic really starts to kick in where the expert positioning, somebody new finds your show, they binge listen. Now they're listening to dozens of these types of episodes. You notice your discovery calls are totally different. There are people showing up ready to get to work. Like, how do I just hire you already? Or they're just going directly into whatever it is that you offer. So all that kicks in. And every time you do one of these, you do want to drop a little casual mention. Hey, if you want to do one of these business cash flow audit episodes, here's how you sign up. Go to the website or hit the link in the bio. And it kind of self promotes a little bit. But at first, like you could get, since we want to, normally I'd be like, get a past client and do kind of a success story, but we can't do that. But like get somebody that you know, or get somebody that you're connected to, or get somebody that like is an online fitness professional that's been a guest before or something like that. Like, hey, I want to have you back on and we're going to actually do this cash flow audit episode. Would you be up for that? Somebody that you got some rapport with. And then we just got to get social proof out there. Posting on Instagram. Hey, are you a X, Y, and Z business owner looking to either decrease, increase profits, or whatever. So like decrease stress in your life, whatever buzzwords you want to use.
Yeah.
Then have them have a link to sign up or whatever. Blast an email out to your list and say, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. You get to come on my show. It can be totally, as far as like, we're not going to promote you got to let them know, like, we're not going to be on camera live doing this, promoting on social media. I'm not going to tag you on Instagram and be like, hey, look at this loser I just did a coaching audit with whose business sucks. It is not going to be like, look at, in debt Debbie over there. That we're not going to have that type of situation. It can be very private, just a private conversation, first name only. But the goal is to help you with your cash flow. Like, we're going to solve your cash flow issues and come up with some tangible ideas to get things moving in the right direction. And you just stir enough of that up. You start to get 4, 5, 6 of these out there that are kind of a heavier lift. Then people are going to start to sign up, and then it kind of gets to like half and half. Like, if you're going to do a few of these a month, half of them will come from you putting effort. The other half come in for people listening to the show, and kind of self propulsion starts to happen a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can definitely see how the flywheel would get turning. Just got to get it turning first.
Yeah, you just have to stick with it. That's why I always tell people 25 to 50. Just keep freaking doing it. Like, if you feel like you're going to throw up in your mouth a little bit after 5 of them, then puke in your mouth and freaking go do episode number 6. Just whatever it takes, because the people that stick with it and do this, it really works. But about half people don't make it to the 20th one. It's like, I had people show me and this and that. I'm like, we just got to solve one problem at a time. So with me, I had a lot of people show me at the beginning. Then I came up with this hardcore like verification. I asked people to double confirm and all this stuff. I'm like, we gotta, just get this. I got to 100% know you're going, because I'm going live and I don't want to show up live and have nobody go live with. So like putting out one little fire at a time, that'll help. But I think you'll crush it at this. I think it's really unique content. It's going to add value to your audience. That person in the guest seat is a great potential client, if not right then, but down the road, like planting that seed. And then it's going to help level up your conversion rate from listener to client overall within your podcasting brand. I think it's a very smart idea, and I can't wait to listen in as you do this, man. Let's go.
Yeah, no, I'm excited too. I've put out 130 plus episodes already, so I have the foundation kind of in place. I didn't know anyone in this niche when I first launched the podcast. So from episode 1, I was just hitting the DMs hard, getting people to come on the show. But yeah, I do think it's a little easier to get someone to come on and talk about themselves. Just like interview, come on, talk about your story. then it might be to, hey, come on and like share all your vulnerable secrets behind the scenes, all the numbers that you're lying about on Instagram, come share those.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, no, I think I have the foundation in place to be able to stick to
Yeah.
the 25-50 and kind of get that flywheel going, to be honest with you, because I've done 130 episodes when most people with the numbers I have probably would have
Yeah.
quit. I mean,
Yeah.
100 episodes ago.
Yeah. You're 100% right. And you've proven that you're an implementer and you stick with it and you're not, about ready to quit on this thing. You're trying different things too, which I applaud. But I think if you let people know that we're not getting into the nitty gritty numbers could be embarrassing, but it could just be talking in terms of profit and loss. And like, I'm really feel like, my profit isn't where it should be because of all these employees, or I need just ideas on, rearranging my expenses a little bit because I'm spending so much on XYZ things. It doesn't have to be the exact amount or whatever. It could just be general profit
Yeah.
loss terms. So it's not embarrassing, that like, that's not the goal. The goal is to provide momentum, not embarrass. So you got to kind of massage that into your messaging a little bit, make it clear with the first few episodes. This is very confidential, but also very, very helpful. And if you get that mix right, those herbs and spices, I think you're going to really nail it with this.
Cool.
All right. I think we're good to send you off and get to work on those. If you guys, we're going to do a little connection moment here. If you guys want to reach out to Justin, he's about ready to shout out how to do that. So make notes if you are in the online business space and want to do one of these. Like, it's a great opportunity for people that everybody that listens to my show knows the deal with these coaching style episodes. So if any of you would be a great fit for that type of an audit episode, then definitely connect with Justin. Justin, how do they get a hold of you, man? Where do they go?
Yeah, head over to Instagram. It's Justin Green FP. So pretty easy to find me. Or you can head over, to the website assistfp.com and schedule a call if you'd like.
There we go. All right, Pod Pals, go and support Justin, support Dollars and Dumbbells podcast. Go leave him a 5-star rating review. Let him know you found him on Podcasting Business School. If you guys want to come on the show for a podcast audit, then go ahead and sign up on the website, www.podcastingbusiness.school. My summer podcast audit schedule is filling up. Get on the schedule, and you can be just like my pod pal Justin and come on the show. So appreciate you guys listening. Appreciate Justin for joining me for a podcast audit, and I'm going to send you out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We'll see you next time.